If you want a great looking lawn without spending tons of time or money, then you have come to the right place. Hi, I'm Walt, and welcome to the very first episode of The Simple Lawn. Now, because this is the first episode, I'd like to spend a couple minutes explaining what this channel is all about. I really enjoy lawn care. I've become a bit of a lawn care nut over the years, in large part because of the original lawn care nut. And there's a great YouTube community of lawn care nuts who get really into this hobby. It can get pretty deep, pretty quick. But this channel is not geared towards the 1% of homeowners who are that crazy about their lawns. This show is for the other 99%. Everyone wants a great looking lawn, but not everyone wants to spend the time necessary to figure out what they need to do. It can be confusing. In my experience, most people are like, what kind of fertilizer? What pre-emergence? When do I apply it? Does it need to be watered in? Should I overseed? What does that even mean? Can't somebody just tell me what to do and when to do it, and I'll go out and do it? That's what The Simple Lawn is. Once a week, every Friday, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do this weekend. I'm going to cover 63 regions of the country. I'll be talking about cool season grasses in the north and warm season grasses in the south. In the middle of the country, what's called the transition zone, you've got yards pretty much split between cool and warm season grasses. And for those areas, I'll be telling you what to do for each type. So I'm starting this channel with 74 different plans that covers 63 regions of the country. If enough people want more, maybe I'll expand from there in the future, but that's what I'm starting with. Now, to give you kind of a high-level overview of the Simple Lawn program, we're going to be putting down pre-emergent, which will prevent weeds from germinating, so you'll never even see them. For most of you, that will be a product containing prodiamine. We will be talking about post-emergence to kill weeds that have managed to break through. We'll be fertilizing throughout the season, primarily with milorganite, though not exclusively. I'll be recommending for those of you who have fescues, ryegrasses, etc., that you aerate and overseed in the fall. Phoenix, I'll also tell you when to overseed ryegrass into your Bermuda if you want to maintain the green year-round. Those are the pillars of the program, but I'll be talking about other things as well. When to perform maintenance, when to mow higher or lower than normal, grub prevention, etc. And of course, when exactly you should be doing all of these things based on where you are in the country. All you need to follow along is a lawnmower, a spreader, preferably a broadcast spreader, and some sprayers. That's it. As far as the stuff you're actually putting down in the lawn, fertilizers, herbicides, etc., don't worry, I will be walking you through it as we go. Okay, so now that the introductory housekeeping is out of the way, let's actually get into the first episode. This is The Simple Lawn, lawn care for March 15th to 21st, 2019. Let's start with those of you who are simply cutting this weekend, aka who are all of the rest of us jealous of. Tampa, Florida, you should have put prodiamine down over a month ago. That this weekend you're just cutting. Cool season grasses in Columbia, South Carolina, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles, you also should have had your prodiamine down weeks ago, but this weekend you are just cutting. Columbia and Vegas, you're close. You might not be cutting just yet, but you've got some growth starting and you are right on that edge. Remember, cut your grass at the recommended height and never take off more than 1/3 of the grass blade. That means if you're cutting at 2 inches, you should never let the grass get more than 3 inches high, because 1/3 of 3 is the 1 inch you're cutting off, and that's how much you need to take off to get down to 2. I like to say cut less off more often. The very best thing you can do for your lawn is to cut more often. The less you're cutting off each time, the less stress it is on your plant, and grass is a plant. Moving on to pre-emergence, we have got a long list of people who need to get prodiamine down this weekend. It is mid-March, after all. Prodiamine is a pre-emergent, and it's going to prevent weeds that are beginning to germinate now that would come up later in the summer, crabgrass being the major one. First, I'll tell you who needs to apply this weekend, and then I'll explain how you apply. Okay, let's get to it. I'll break this down into 3 groups. For the first group, now is the perfect normal time of year to put down prodiamine, and your temperatures right now, this year, are also absolutely perfect. And you are warm and cool season lawns in Charlotte, Raleigh, Nashville, and Wichita, Kansas. Nashville and Wichita, you've been a little cold, but you've warmed up just in time. Also, San Antonio, you are perfect right now for putting down your second Prodiamine app of the year. Group number 2, those of you who would normally have gotten down your Prodiamine earlier in the year, but it has been cold this year and your lawns have just now warmed up enough to make this the perfect weekend. Little Rock and Oklahoma City. If you guys weren't paying attention, well, congrats, because you didn't miss your window. You are at the exact right temperature to get it down now. And finally, group number 3. These are the people who should have already gotten their Prodiamine down. You missed the perfect time to do so. But if you put it down now, you will still get enough benefit to make it worthwhile. Sacramento, San Francisco, and Montgomery, Alabama. You should have already done this, but you will still get good control if you apply now. Also, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Houston, Jackson, Mississippi. You are late. If you get it down immediately, you can probably still prevent 30 to 50% of your summer weeds, but I do mean immediately. So now that you know who needs to put down Prodiamine this weekend, let's talk about how you do it. We are going to use a granular Prodiamine, not a liquid one. I have a link in the description below to the exact one that I'm showing here. Everybody's going to put down 3.5 pounds of Prodiamine per 1,000 square feet of grass. So if your yard is 50 feet by 100 feet, 50 times 100 is 5,000 square feet. 3.5 pounds times 5 is 17.5. So you will need to spread 17.5 pounds evenly across your grass with a broadcast spreader. After you get the Prodiamine down, you need to water it in about 1/2 inch of water. The Simple Lawn program is recommending 3.5 pounds per 1,000 for all grass types in all areas. Some of you will have 2 applications of 3.5 pounds each. Some of you, cool season grasses in areas with shorter growing seasons, will only have 1 application because any more would prevent your fall overseeding from being successful. 1 versus 2 applications also depends somewhat on your grass type, and we'll talk about that more in future episodes. Next up, I've got some good news for those of you in San Diego, New Orleans, and Miami. It is time for some Milo. This weekend, you're going to be putting down a nice organic fertilizer, and probably the best and easiest for you to find in any big box store is Milorganite. We're going to use the rate that they specify on the bag. So one 36-pound bag will cover 2,500 square feet. So if you have 5,000 square feet, you'll need 2 bags. This stuff is great for your grass. It is great for your soil. It will not burn your yard if you accidentally spill it or get too much in one place. So don't worry, just get as many bags as you need for the size lawn that you have, put it in a broadcast spreader, and get it down evenly around your lawn. Now, for those of you in Phoenix, Dallas, Tallahassee, Austin, and warm season grasses in Vegas, Columbia, South Carolina, and LA, I've got nothing for you this weekend. You all should have had your Prodiamine down anywhere from a few weeks ago to over a month ago. Your warm season grasses aren't quite ready for their first cut, though Phoenix is getting really close. But nothing to do this weekend except for trying to enjoy weather that probably feels cold to you, but the rest of us would kill for right about now. And finally, for the rest of the country, I'm so sorry, but it is still too cold and too early for you to do anything this weekend. And lots of you, your dirt is much colder than normal. In the Dakotas and Montana, you're always cold this time of year, but even so, much colder than usual this year. Even like Topeka, Kansas, Lincoln, Nebraska, Springfield, Illinois, those of you in Wisconsin, Missouri, all running way colder than in a typical year. But make sure to subscribe and come back next Friday. Hopefully I'll have better news for all of you, and I can tell you that it's finally time to get out there and get to work making your neighbors jealous of your lawn. So again, this was my very first episode. I have 0 subscribers. I'm probably talking to no one right now. But if you did happen to find your way here and you did find value here, I would really appreciate it if you'd subscribe and come along for the ride. Maybe leave a comment, let me know if you have any questions or any feedback. Maybe if you know someone who would love to have a nice yard with the least amount of work possible, shoot this video over to them. I'm also going to make this available as a podcast for those of you who would prefer audio rather than video. That should be all set up in the next week or 2. Stay tuned to the videos for details on the podcast. And remember, the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you take care of it. See you next week.